Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of RiesKitchen in our gluten-free series. Or maybe I should say hola, because today we've got a bit of a Spanish flavour and we're going to make Crema Catalana or Catalan cream, which is a relative of creme brulee, the French dish, but much lighter and easier to prepare. As a celiac, I often get asked to bring the dessert when we go to friends for dinner, and this is perfect. It travels well, kids love it, adults love it, and it has that added wow factor. So let's get started and look at our very simple ingredients for today. So first up, we have 3 eggs, 80 grams of sugar, 20 grams of cornstarch or corn flour, 500 mils of full cream milk, a lemon, and then some added flavours of vanilla with the option of cinnamon and nutmeg. When you zest a lemon, it's important that we just take the yellow part of the skin and not the white of the flesh. So there are many ways that we can do that. We can take a piece of wide peel, just using a potato peeler, like so. Or we can use a zester. Now be careful, these are sharp, and we can just take some little rings. We can use a fancy zester. And again, being careful because these are sharp, and get some nice long, thick pieces. Or we could just use a grater. Whichever way you choose, they will be fine to go into our milk. And now for an additional flavouring into our milk, we're going to add a vanilla pod or a vanilla bean. And this is a vanilla bean. Oh, they smell so fresh. The important thing is to get them as fresh as you can. They come from Madagascar, and so wherever you are in the world, the fresher you can get, the better. Sometimes you can buy them in a sealed tube like this. So the trick is that we need to get the seeds out as well as using the outside or the casing of the pod. So I find it easier to cut them in half just because it's easier to work with. And then split the bean, open it up, and we're going to scrape the seeds as well as the pod into our pot. See all those beautiful seeds oozing at the bottom there. How good do they look? So now it's time to put our milk infusing ingredients together. So in a nice sized pot, we're going to add our ½ litre of milk. We're going to add all of our lemon zest. Now it doesn't matter that I've got them all in different sizes here, but you'd only have one size that you would put together. And our very precious vanilla pods, 2 halves, and all those seeds. And now we just pop that on a gentle heat to bring to the boil. And now we just give it a bit of a stir just to loosen up and free up those wonderful vanilla seeds. And now gently bring it to a simmer. So now we need 3 egg yolks. And as I have described in the past, but I'll show you all again how to separate an egg. So it's important to do them one at a time, because we don't want our yolks to split into our egg white. And of course, these leftover egg whites can be used for friands. 1 yolk. The next step now is to add our sugar and our corn flour into the egg yolks, and to whisk them together till they're rich and thick and creamy. Nice and rich and thick and creamy. All right, that's ready to add to our milk. All right, now my milk has just started to simmer. We don't want it to form a skin, so now's the time we need to add it to the eggs. But we need to strain all those bits out. So I'm going to use a chinois, which is just a fancy name for a conical sieve, but if you've only got a flat one, that's fine. These just make it a bit easier. And I'm going to just pour that into our eggs. And give that a whisk. And you can see here in my chinois the lemon zest and the vanilla pods. Okay. So now we just pour our custard back into the pot. Okay. It's a pity this isn't smell-o-vision because the aroma of the lemon and the vanilla is just wonderful. So putting all that back onto the heat and then continually stirring. Now what you choose to stir with is up to you. I like a spoon that's got a hole in it, like this one, just because it makes it much easier to keep everything moving. And now we stir until the custard starts to thicken and comes back to the boil. And now we just keep stirring until it's ready and thick enough. And we do that by doing the finger test. And I don't mean sticking your finger in the pot because that would be pretty hot and pretty silly, really. So what we do is we just get our spoon and we run our finger along it and we see if it holds. That didn't quite hold, but it's not long now. You can see that from the steam. So now we'll do our finger test again. It's getting pretty close, you can see from the bottom there. And that's stayed. This will be ready. All right, so that's ready. So we'll just turn the gas off and bring them over here to our dishes. Now you can use normal ramekins, but a shallow dish is best. So now we'll just ladle into our dish our wonderful rich custard. Now this recipe serves 4 and it'll be about 1.5 of my ladles into each dish. Right, so now the hardest part of this entire process, and that's letting these cool to room temperature and then popping them in the fridge for at least half an hour. In fact, you can do these the day before if you're having a big dinner party to make it very simple. Can't wait. So these have come to room temperature now and we can pop them in the fridge for half an hour. And we can see that they've definitely set. So now for the dramatic bit that everyone loves. So what you need is a little bit more sugar. Now you can use raw sugar, demerara sugar, caster sugar, but I'm just using regular white sugar. And you need to sprinkle a fairly good amount over each one. So we're just sprinkling the sugar up close to the edges. Now for adding that little bit of pizzazz that I spoke about at the beginning. Now there's 2 ways you can do it. You can pop your dish now under a grill to brown off the top and make that caramel, but that's not nearly as much fun as using one of these, a butane kitchen gun. So just turning it on, lighting it, he says. All right, now the trick with this, A, it's hot, but B, is not to blow all the sugar off. So I'm now just going to put it in one spot and caramelise that sugar, and as that browns and caramelizes, move the gun around, because what we want to do is make a crispy crust. And so now that's ready to go. Now be careful, the edges will be hot, but look at this. Crisp caramel, just perfect to eat. And as always, the best part's in the eating. So make sure you crack some of that wonderful toffee. Whoops. Here we go. That's great. Until next time, everyone. Ciao.